Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Chase and this is the Acer C720 review from our newly opened YouTube channel here at TechRave. Now I know there's plenty of other Acer C720 reviews out there on the market, but I really wanted to wait on this one because I really wanted to put it through real-world testing. I wanted to really hammer on it, see how much productivity I could get out of it, see if I could break it, put it through the ins and outs that every techie and geek does. Now, how this review is going to stand out from all the rest is that I actually use this device from day to day, whereas a lot of the other review companies, they get a shipment of the product in the mail, they play around with it a little bit, and then they either let it sit on the shelf or they send it back and never touch it again. Well, a lot of times they'll miss a lot of real world happenings because they're so quick to just get it out there and get the review out there for people to see. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but there's more to it, and there's more to it as far as the user experience goes. So sit tight and we're gonna cover this thing in and out. Okay, so first I want to talk about the build quality of this thing. So you just plunk down your $200 to $250 or however much it's running for these days, and you pull it out of the packaging and you feel around on the thing. You give it the old weight test, and it may or may not feel up to your level of quality for you having spent around $200. It may feel just a tad cheap, but don't worry because it's actually pretty rugged. I mean, I've been really hammering on this thing. My kids have dropped it. It's really a rugged machine when push comes to shove. So when it comes to the sense of feeling, did you get your $200 worth right away? I would say yes. In terms of just build quality alone, you're not going to find another piece of equipment out there that is built like this for that price point. And I'm not saying that it's super cheesy either, because it actually does have a level of sturdiness, ruggedness, and it's not flimsy. But just the plastic they used is just a little, a lower grade of plastic. It's on, if you've bought an Acer product before, you pretty much know what type of plastic they used. So let's talk a little bit about the RAM now. Now, you probably know how much RAM is on your device before you buy it. It's one of the biggest things you want to check and look for. You want to make sure you have enough RAM on your computer so that it runs smoothly and efficiently. So in order to check on a Chromebook, in the web browser you type Chrome : //system, and it'll bring you up with a whole list of system specs. Now, this particular Chromebook has 2 GB of storage, and I do believe, please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that you can upgrade the RAM. I believe there's 2 slots for RAM, so you'd have to take it apart and add another stick of RAM into this thing to upgrade it, which it runs fine with 2 GB. It does alright. Notice that if you do add more RAM, you'll be able to have a lot more tabs open, and you'll be able to do a lot more multitasking and stuff like that if that's what you do. Now, the keyboard, you're gonna love typing on this thing. I mean, you can fire off some word magic with this thing. You probably, if you type 50, 60 words per minute, you probably now can type 70 to 80 words per minute. That is how fast this thing is. And you can hear the little chiclet sound of these newer style keyboards. And it's a little bit different than, a Microsoft keyboard or a keyboard that comes with an Apple product. They've changed some of the keys around, which will help you get familiar with here going down, headed forward. So we have an 11.5-inch monitor. It's not the greatest resolution in the world. I think the HP Chromebook 11 has a little bit sharper and clearer picture than this one, but nothing. Nothing to worry about. Nothing's gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be able to see everything. Everything's gonna be quite clear. Trackpad, it's a standard trackpad. Again, plastic, but it works very well. You can adjust the settings once you get inside the Chromebook, and no real problems with it. One good thing about it being this style of plastic is that it doesn't wear off. Some of the other trackpads have a rubberized texture. This doesn't, so it's going to tend to last a lot longer. Now, design-wise, as you can see, it's a little lacking in that department. It's a basic standard laptop. There's really no frills in the design element. It's not sleek, it's not very sexy. It just kind of is, and it's kind of, you know, setting the standard of what a Chromebook should be. A Chromebook doesn't have to be fancy, but it's kind of making the statement that it's like, here I am, I just work. Who cares about all the fancy crap? You know, and it's very effective. A lot of people don't like all the fancy crap that gets bundled with, you know, the hardware ends of these things. So you can see just the Acer logo here on the back and the Chrome logo up there. Very simple, very Google-esque. And what really stands out in the hardware is this little guy right here. These C720s come equipped with Haswell Intel Celeron processors, and they run at a pretty decent speed. You can really hammer on these things. I really haven't had any lag issues or any freezes. I haven't had the machine lock up once in the 6 months that I've used it. You know, you can have up to like 20 or so tabs open depending on what you're running. I had a couple instances that the Chrome browser crashed on me. This was due to handling multiple sites that were displaying GIFs, so they would probably take down a Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer browser anyways, so it's nothing to really worry about there. Other than that, I mean, you can run YouTube videos, you can do pretty much anything, you know, that you would need to do on this device. So if you don't have any experience with Chromebooks or the operating system or anything like that, just think about the Chrome web browser and think about all the things you can do with that. Now, if you're comfortable and familiar with all of that sort of stuff, then you'll be right at home with a Chromebook. So basically, it's not a machine that you're going to be installing programs in. You're not going to be, you know, downloading Photoshop or FL Studio or things of that nature. It's just not designed for that purpose, and it's not designed for people who need to make use of high-end programs and packages. But really, what this is basically a web, you know, a web operating system that is based off the Linux kernel, but it is in fact Google's own. So if you're expecting a Microsoft-like product or an Apple-like product, well, you're not going to get either, and you may be disappointed, or you may just be intrigued and fascinated by how much you can actually do with this thing at its price point and its ease of use. Now, if you're a person who has limited internet access or have slow internet access or intermittent, you know, internet access that is in and out and doesn't always function properly, then this Chromebook may not be for you either. Although it does have a lot of offline apps you can utilize. I think you can utilize, you know, you can use Drive, and you can use Docs and various things offline. But for the most part, you're going to always want to be connected. This is a Wi-Fi only version, so anywhere you can connect to Wi-Fi. So if you have Wi-Fi at your house or a broadband connection or anything like that, or hotel's broadband connection, anywhere you can hook up with that if you have the password. And it's a very easy setup. You just it kind of functions like on a phone. You just locate the network and connect to it. So after you get done setting this thing up, which only takes about a matter of a minute or two, and you're presented with the desktop, you have a few icons over here in the bottom corner, and you'll notice probably some familiar icons there. You'll have the Chrome app. You'll have a Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Slides, Google Play Music, Google Drive, etc. So basically a whole bunch of Google services put there at the bottom. And then you have what's going to be really important to you is the store. So when you open up the store, it opens up all of the applications you can install on your Chrome browser. And now these applications will be available to you across all your Chrome devices. So if you're running Chrome on a different computer, you will still have access to all of these applications. So some of the applications that I have installed, you can hopefully check them out here. Some of the applications I have installed are the ones I mentioned previously there, and they kind of all get dumped into this little folder here, sort of like in a way Windows or Mac would. But what you're going to notice is that some of these are actually web applications, but some of these are just links to different websites. So for example, let's see if I can find one here. Okay, I have an icon for Circle Count. Now Circle Count is a website for measuring metrics on Google+. So if I open that up, see, it's just basically a website pops up if it loads there. But then you'll have some of your real applications, which some of them will be extensions and some of them will be sort of add-ons. So like here we have a writer, so this is for writing code or writing basically whatever you want, and it kind of functions like a program. It's still sort of a website, but here you can just kind of write and type in your stuff. So that's just a couple of apps. Of course, YouTube takes you to the YouTube website. What you'll notice immediately is the Google Docs function. Now this is going to work just like Microsoft Office or LibreOffice or any Office program that you're familiar with, and everything gets saved automatically in your Drive folder. Now when you get a new Chromebook, they give you 100 gigabytes of free drive space. I think it lasts for 2 years, and then you have like a limited amount of space that is provided for you on your Chromebook. When you save pictures and stuff like that, it'll go, you can either save it to your Google Drive or you can save it to the actual hard drive on the computer, or you can of course hook up a USB hard drive and, you know, save as many things as you want. Moving along, we have a file explorer, kind of like you would in Windows. It's just a folder icon, and all your pictures and nice cool things will go in there that you save to your physical hard drive. And like I mentioned before, you can switch between your Google Drive and your actual physical drive. Another thing to note is this has a photo editor built right into the photo viewer. So if you were trying to edit your photos real quick, it's very easy to just, you know, crop a photo, you know, either on screen or through the photo app and make slight changes. That way you don't have to go into another photo editing program just to make these edits. It's built right into the operating system, which is really nice. I like it because I make simple edits, you know, simple cuts to things, maybe change around a few colors. I don't need a full-fledged system to do all that, a full-fledged program. And battery life, I have to commend this thing on battery life. I left this thing on for like 3 or 4 days, and it just didn't die. It never ran out of batteries. Now this, a lot of laptops you can open the case and get to the battery, but this you can't. You have to unscrew the screws and the battery's in there, and you can still replace it. There's just no latch for the battery, but these batteries really do last forever. I watch a lot of YouTube video I do a lot of word processing with this thing. I listen to a lot of music with this thing, and the battery will last forever, and it charges really fast too. And I think that's really one of the most important things for these Chromebooks is battery life and how quick the battery charges, because you got to remember that these things, they're trying to get these things in schools, and they're trying to kind of get these in the hands of everyone just to try out. That's why they've had contests giving these things away. I actually won one in the Chrome giveaway contest where I submitted a GIF image of myself and was nominated for that, and I won a HP Chromebook 11. And this one came from the Christmas holiday hangout hosted by Randy Hilarski, Christine DeGraff, Craig Chamberlain, Mia Voss, and others. So I thank you for that. And this thing I've really been able to get a lot done with. So having given you that quick run through, I want to just tell you why I'd recommend you getting one of these, why I'd say to go out and buy one right now, today or tomorrow, if you don't have one already. Number one, the price. The price is great. They're probably less than $200 now if you can find them. The power is there. The speed is there. A little small in the form factor range, but where it lacks in that, it really makes up with in productivity, because you can lug this thing around. It's very lightweight, but you can't, you're not going to break it unless you really, hammer on it. The security of the machine is very good. You're not going to find too many security flaws in these devices as of yet anyways. Stay away from phishing scams and stuff like that, and websites, questionable websites. That's always a good general rule of thumb anyways. But this thing is always updating it. They send out the updates. You don't have to sit there and manage updates. You don't have to configure firewalls. You don't have to mess with antivirus and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to download and install programs. Everything is right here in one neat little package. So for the every user, for the everyday consumer, I would highly recommend one, so long as you have a fairly decent internet connection. And even if you don't and you're mobile a lot, you can certainly find places that have Wi-Fi that you can connect to, and you can get a lot of work done using Google Drive. You can, if you're into production, it does have a webcam, so you can use stuff like Skype and Google Hangouts. Any social media that you're into, you can certainly hammer on this thing. Yeah, I just can't break the thing. I can't, I can, the Chrome browser, I can crash that. I can crash it on any device. But I have not I've not been able to lock up the system. I have not been able to take it down completely. It never needs to restart. It powers on. It's clocked for a 10-second power on, but if I open this thing up, it's gonna turn on. Watch. You open it up. Oh, let me shut down. I'll just show you. Okay, off. Press the button. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. On. There's the login screen, ready to go. That is why I recommend the Acer C720 Chromebook, because if you need to write down a thought, you need to whip something up to print out, anything, you have this, you carry this around by your side and utilize this as a notebook, as a real notebook. Your productivity levels are going to skyrocket, because this is like your R2-D2. This thing is going to be your right-hand man. It's going to be right beside you, and you're going to have it wherever you go. Even if you use a brand new beefed out Windows 8 machine, or a smooth and sexy Mac device, or a new Linux distribution, you're still gonna like this Chromebook. So with that, thank you for watching. This has been my first review over here at TechRave.net. We had a lot of fun. Hopefully we didn't stumble through it too much. Hopefully you stuck with us till the end. This is the first of many to come. We're going to run through this operating system. We're going to be doing tutorials, how-tos, and all that sort of stuff. And don't worry, I'm going to get better at talking. I'm going to get better at doing this stuff, so I hope you stick with me. And thank you, Tech Ravers, for joining me.